What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to bring you a quick comparison of two popular phones out there, ones that I would consider anyone to get, but I kind of want to give some background on these and give an idea of who they may be for, who they may not be for, and battle these two out. This is the iPhone 12 non-Pro, which I use as a daily driver for about 6 months, I believe. I've had it for a little bit now. And then a Pixel 5. And this actually I bought used for around $515, I believe. I bought this new, but we'll go over that, who these phones may be for, who they may not be for, kind of the differences, the comparisons. There's a lot of similarities here, and there's a lot of differences. So first things first, we'll go over kind of the phones, a little bit about the specs, pricing, all that. iPhone 12, 64 gigabyte, I got the blue version. It's around $7.99. I did buy Apple Care for this, and I'll talk about that as I go when it comes to the durability and overall daily use of the phone. So you have that. I believe Apple Care was $179, so you're looking at close to $1,000 if you get Apple Care along top of this. And then the Pixel 5 I actually bought used because I couldn't find a new one. It's hard to find these right now, so I bought this actually used off eBay from just anybody. I looked at Swappa also to see if I could find one there, but I couldn't at that reasonable price. And I paid around $515, but you'll pay $699 for this if you buy it new. I think if you get it from carriers, you can get it a little cheaper. This is the Verizon version, which I believe you can get for $649 just about any time at Best Buy if you want. So these are obviously iOS, Google OS, very different. When it comes to the operating systems. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to kind of get into using the phones as a day-to-day basis and who they may be for. So the iPhone 12 actually has Face Unlock. The Pixel does not anymore. They actually removed that. And I think that's a good thing right now. I do know that with COVID going on, yes, a lot of mask restrictions are lifted, but I work within a hospital setting where we're always wearing a mask, still probably will for years to come. And even though I do have an Apple Watch that will unlock this with your mask on, it's not the most secure thing out there, so I don't usually use it, so I'm using my PIN anyways. So that's something, if you want Face Unlock, you have to get the iPhone. I would not recommend getting the Pixel if Face Unlock is really something you're wanting to get into. When it comes to everything else, the overall feel of the phones are very similar. When it comes to weight, the iPhone feels a little heavier, mainly because it has a lot more glass and metal to it. It is, I think, 6.1-inch display, and I think the Pixel phone is 6 inches, but they're almost identical in terms of actual real estate. I think the Pixel phone actually feels like it has a little bit more real estate on the actual front of the phone. It's kind of hard to explain here. I'll try to get you some pictures. But it just feels like there's a little bit more real estate, even though this is a little bit more, I believe this is more like a 2K display, where this is a 1080p. Both OLED, both are great. This is a little bit more saturated with the colors. I think it looks a little bit better than when it comes to just actual visual appeal of it, and you don't have that huge chin at the top. It's hard to see here, but let's pull up just some general website. But if you look here, there's a huge, massive bezel at the top that you have on the actual iPhones, and then you do not have that on the actual, let's try to get the same exact website, you do not have that on the actual Pixel phone. So I think the Pixel phone wins when it comes to actually the screen. I just think it's a better overall screen, just by a slight margin. I just like the colors. I like how it's a little more saturated. I like that you can fit more icons on the screen. So if you see here, you have 5 rows that you can do on the Pixel, and you only have 4 that you can do on the iPhone. And if you've ever used an iPhone before, one annoying thing is that while you can move your apps around on the screen, they all default to the top. So there's no way to customize your iPhone like this as a standard way of getting all your icons down at the bottom so they're easier to get. You have to basically put all these widgets up here like I did, so it pushes everything down. Otherwise it won't let you do that. I did not think that would be a big deal until I went back and started using the Pixel phone, and I was like, I like a clean display. I don't like all this. I actually don't like any of these widgets up here. I just put them up there so all my icons were down at the bottom. So that's something that you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but it actually is. But screens are similar. Cameras are almost identical. all modern cell phone cameras are decent, not great when it comes to doing photos and good lighting. They're all going to be good. They both are pretty good in nighttime lighting. Also, when it comes to for the photo, video, the iPhone's way better. I believe. I think it's just a better overall package when it comes to video. You have 4K. I believe you have 4K on this. I rarely shoot video on these, but if you're shooting video, I would go to the iPhone. When it comes to actual feel of the phones, size is very similar. The iPhone feels and looks a little bit more premium, I think. My wife would agree. She thinks the Pixel phone looks cheap and feels cheap. That's mainly because while this is an aluminum back, it's more of a recycled. So it does feel a little bit plasticky. But besides that, it's very similar in actual hand feel. This has a more straight edge to it, where this is like a 90-degree angle, how it comes over like this. So it does feel a little sharp in your hands and difficult to hold without a case on. So it's a very, very slippery phone, which you can see there. It's slid out of my hands a million times. I've dropped it. It slides out of your pocket all the time. And the Pixel phone has a little bit more grip to it, so that is a little bit better and easier to grip with the rounded edges. It feels nicer in the hand. It doesn't tend to slide out of my pocket as much, but it's still pretty slippery when it comes to just randomly shooting across the parking lot from your pocket. But the iPhone has fallen out of my pocket about every other day. So without a case on it, it's a very, very slippery phone. Front-facing cameras, they're similar. I don't find any issues there. Charging, very similar in the way they charge. They do have like adaptive charging to where they will basically save battery life and kind of learn as it goes, so it doesn't ramp up and charge as quick as it. Like if you plug them both in at night, they really don't charge fully until about 2-3 a.m. because they're doing it slowly to save the battery. USB-C, which everything is doing now, and then you still have Lightning on the iPhone, which is a little bit annoying, but my wife has a bunch of Apple products, so we have Lightning cables all over, so that hasn't been a problem for me. But if everything else you have is USB-C and you're not in the Apple ecosystem, I think this would be a better, easier charging options, but that's not usually something you consider. What else? When it comes to the OSs, I like them both for similar things. I like the Android or the Google OS better when it comes to how you can customize it. There's a ton of options in there, which may be good or bad. So if you're wanting something that's a little more simple down and kind of easier to operate, I think the iPhone's a little bit better. If you have a grandparent out there, I think the iPhone is a more suitable choice just because there is a lot of customization. And if you look at something like the Samsung phones over these, there's tons and tons of options and stuff to go through. So you need to take that into mind when you're looking at these phones. I think they both are great OSs, have pluses and minuses. I think the notifications are a little bit better on the Pixel phone. The animations are very similar. I'm having issues there. I think the apps are a little bit more customized, a little bit more polished on the iPhone. So for example, Chrome, which you think would be better on the Pixel, I actually like Chrome better on the iPhone. And iTunes, or Apple Music, I actually like that a little bit better on the Pixel phone versus the iPhone, which is kind of strange, but all the apps are a little different. Instagram, Chrome. I do like that Google Calendar is better on this, so the Google apps, which I use mainly, are better. So basically, if you scroll over here, I have my whole entire calendar there, which is nice, which I cannot do on the actual iPhone. I've added the calendar widget. It does not show all of my calendar like I do right here, which is nice. I really like having the ability to just see that right off with just a swipe to the right. I can say, oop, wife's off today. I don't have to worry about picking up our little one, or it's a doctor's appointment. It's very simple and easy to navigate. Same thing with Google Maps. Google Maps is way better, I think, on the Android phone, which makes sense because that's probably what it's engineered for, and it just flows a little bit better. When it comes to messaging, I don't care about iMessage. Again, this is my only Apple product that I have right now. So iMessage, while it is nice and maybe a little bit more polished and a little less, I don't want to say cartoony, but I think the actual Google new messaging app, whatever you call it out there, it is RCA, so it is pretty secure and encrypted now from what it previously is. I think that it's a little, it's just, I don't think it's quite as grown up. It has a little more character than the actual iMessage, which I like, but I'm not tied to it, so both of them are very sufficient for me. Quick, responsive, there's tons of options. It's pretty easy to navigate through all that. So what else? Displays. We talked about the displays. They're both OLED. This is a little bit more megapixels, or not megapixels, a little bit more pixels per inch than this, but you don't notice the difference. I actually prefer the pixel screen better, and it's 90 Hz refresh rate, which I did not think would be a big deal, but I used this for a week, and then I went back and put my Sims in this, and you immediately notice that how sluggish this thing feels coming from a higher refresh rate display. And there's 120 ones out there. If you get some of the Samsung, like the S21, they have 120 Hz refresh rate. So I would make sure you test that stuff out. If you're not used to 90 or 120 and you're just using an iPhone, you're not going to notice a difference. But when you go to that 90 Hertz and then you go back, it's noticeably more smooth, more fluid. It seems like a quicker phone, even though the processor in this is way not way. It's a little dialed down compared to that A14 Bionic chip that's in the iPhones, which I believe is still the only 5 nanometer chip out there when it comes to phones. I'm not 100% positive, but it's just a way faster processor, but you don't notice that in day-to-day use. Anything else? Okay, durability. So the iPhone is actually probably a more durable phone when it comes to actual screen shattering. So if you use this with a case, it's probably going to be pretty bulletproof just because it has a new ceramic shield a display on it, which is really nice. But the thing is that the back, I don't like using cases. I have a case for this because I have to use it when I'm running or something outside because it's just too slippery. It's a very slippery, shiny, glossy glass phone. The back is super, super fragile. So this back, I have a feeling, would shatter fairly easily if you dropped it. It just doesn't seem very stable, and there's all kinds of people out there that have used these before and they have actually just set it down on the table and it's cracked the glass around the lens here. So that's something to keep in mind, and it's going to be very expensive to fix this. So if it's something that you're wanting to actually use without a case on it, I would get AppleCare for it just because of how expensive it would be to fix if you dropped and broke the back glass. I actually think it's more cheaper to replace the actual front display than it is the back, or the back glass. But that's something to look into. Battery life has been very similar in both of these. This one has a much larger battery life, but this is a little bit more efficient. So they've can get me through a day really easily. I'm mainly on Wi-Fi 99% of the time. Well, maybe not 90% of the time, and the rest is all 5G because we have 5G in this area, and both of these phones have 5G. And I can easily get through a day, probably 2 days if I really pushed it with these phones. So I don't think battery life or battery size really matters. They're both perfect when it comes to battery. They both have wireless charging. I don't use wireless charging, but they both have wireless charging. This has reverse wireless charging where you can actually charge. Like if you have the Pixel Buds, you could charge with that, or anything basically that has wireless charging. You can just set it to reverse, set it on the back, and it will charge that. I personally wouldn't use that because you kind of want to take care of the battery in your phone because that's the one thing that's going to degrade over time. So I won't use that feature, but it is there in a pinch if you need it. What else? That's really it. The iPhone is going to be more expensive just because, well, for me, just because I need AppleCare with it because I don't like using a case, and they're very expensive to actually get fixed. So that's why I would recommend, if you're wanting to get a cheap phone and you're wanting to try the Google OS or the Android side of things, I would get a used Pixel or a Pixel 4a. I've seen used Pixels for Pixel 5s for $550 that are almost like new. Just make sure you get it from a reputable person. When I got this, it looked new, came with all the original accessories. It is a Verizon model, unlocked Verizon, so you can use it on any carrier, but I would get one used if you can, because the Pixel 6 is right around the corner. So if you pick up a nice Pixel 5 and you like it, you could save a little bit of money and go from there. As far as the iPhone 12, the only thing that's keeping me to this is a few things. For one, Apple Care, so I do have that peace of mind. So if I drop it, shatter the front, shatter the back. I believe it's $99 or $129 max to get it fixed. I'm in very close location to 2 Apple stores, so I could get it fixed fairly easily. For example, my wife's display actually had a dead pixel on it. She scheduled the next day, took it in, they placed it right in the store. It took about 45 minutes. She had her phone right back. With the Pixel phone, you would have to probably find a third party, as I don't know if Apple does repairs. If they do, it's not as simple. You'd probably have to send it in, mail it in, and wait a couple weeks for it to come back, which isn't ideal with a phone. So I do like that with Apple, and I like the apps a little bit better. So Chrome, Instagram, Overcast, which is what I use for my podcast, I like. And they don't actually even have that on the Android side of things, or the Apple or the Google store. So I've been using Google Podcasts, which is good, but not as great. I've really grown to enjoy Overcast using it for all my podcasts. I could use Spotify and switch over to Spotify Music and use that for everything. I like my podcast and my music to be separate, so I like to keep that in mind. And that's really it. Besides that, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. There's a very small learning curve. I haven't used a Pixel phone in a long time, or an Android phone, so switching over, there was a 2 days learning curve setting the phone up to get everything situated, but I think either are great options. If you're not tied to the Apple ecosystem and you want to save a few bucks, I would look into the Pixel lines. I'm not a big Samsung fan. I've never really liked how they add stuff to the Google software. I prefer kind of the clean look of the Google Android stock software, so I've always kind of gravitated towards the Pixel phones, even though I think the Samsung phones are probably a little bit more better bang for your buck because they go on sale so frequently, and I just think they're probably a little bit better built, so you get a little bit more premium built with those. Another thing about the iPhone is if you use it without a case, it is a glossy magnet. So I don't know if you can see all the fingerprints. Probably not. I will try to get you shots of it up, but this thing's disgusting after like a half an hour of use. So that's something to take into account. I'll probably get a D-brand skin to put on it if I decide which one to keep. I'm leaning towards going to the Pixel route. The only other thing that's throwing me off is that Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, I think both are great. I don't think there's one that's better than the other, but I have a newer Subaru Outback with Apple CarPlay. I will show you pictures of this. It's actually full screen, so it takes up the whole almost 11.2 inch display on the car, whereas Android Auto has not caught up there yet, so it still has that smaller, it's like a 6-inch, it basically cuts it half off. I'll get you videos of that up, but that's kind of thrown me off a little bit there. So that's it. Both are great options. If you have any comments, questions, leave them below. I will try to get a little more organized video of this up as I go. Still going to keep both for probably the next month or two and see what happens from there. I could always cancel my Apple Care and sell this probably for a little bit more than the Pixel phone. So I do think the Apple phones hold a little bit more value. That's the last thing I'm going to say. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'll try to get back to you. Sorry this is unorganized. I just did this after work, but I thought this may be helpful to some people out there. And it's raining out, so I couldn't do my other chores outside. Have a good rest of the day, weekend, whatever it is out there, and I'll see you guys next time.